Amityville horror came about in the late 20th century, sparking news that would stun the nation. It all started with the gruesome murders of the Defoe family, occurring on a chilled autumn night in November 1974. 6 of the 7 family members would be found brutally shot and killed execution style, the culprit being none other than the Defoe's oldest son, 23-year-old Ronald Butch Defoe Jr. Although some view Defoe as a crazy sociopath, there are many individuals who believe the Amityville house possessed him, casting demonic spirits throughout his person, resulting in the horrific deaths of his loved ones. With stories of ooze dripping from the house's walls and a basement that leads to the very gates of hell, questions arose from viewers, wondering if maybe the house was the root of the problem after all. Since then, a number of families have lived in the imposing Amityville home located on 112 Ocean Avenue, several claiming that they are not the only ones who occupy it. Despite the horrible mass murder that occurred, the Amityville home still gained many new owners in the years to come. Just 2 weeks after Ronald's sentencing, George and Kathy Lutz moved in with their 3 children. After a month in the home, they claimed to be driven out of the house by a sinister and demonic force that ripped open a heavy door, caused green slime to ooze from the ceiling, and peered into the house at night with red eyes. The demon also left cloven hoof tracks in the snow outside, infested a room in midwinter with hundreds of houseflies, and produced a myriad of other supposedly paranormal phenomena, including inflicting a priest with inexplicable, painful blisters on his hands. After these claimed allegations, New York's local Channel 5 News chose to investigate these alleged happenings with some help from Ed Warren, a demonologist, and his wife, a clairvoyant named Lorraine Warren. From the beginning of their investigation, Lorraine got a deep feeling of the presence of an ominous entity in the house, stating that this energy was right from the bowels of the earth. As this investigation carried on, psychics on the team all agreed that there was a demonic presence that possessed the home and suggested it go through an exorcism.
Although there are many aspects to the Amityville horror legend that can be analyzed, the house itself seems to be the main component in every frightening situation that each family has encountered. Not only does the house encompass a significant amount of history, it has also housed families that have witnessed as well as participated in grotesque bloodshed and extreme misery. It has remained the constant variable throughout the decades, casting a large amount of suspicion amongst many individuals. The foreshadowing of the events that have happened in the New York home, such as a strange thick liquid coming from the walls and a basement that leads to the entrance of hell, can only go to show that there may be something else living within the walls of the Amityville home. Something that is not of human form, but rather intangible, a spirit of some sort. The house itself has been a prime character in telling us the story of those who enter it alive, while also marking the crime scene of those who have been killed. The story has been captivating, and many movies have been created in order to show the absurdity of it all. The Amityville home is a time capsule that many have feared in the past and continue to do so in the future.
My name is Michaela Vargas, and I'm 16 years old.
Hi, Michaela. Thanks for coming for the interview. So, what do you know about the Amityville murders?
I know that the house was possessed, and it supposedly possessed one of the family members to kill his whole family.
Mm-hmm. And what is an urban legend to you, and why would you consider this to be an urban legend?
I don't really know what an urban legend is, but I think it's a story told for generations that's meant to scare someone.
Right. So there are a lot of claims about the house being haunted. Do you believe in the supernatural world, and why?
I don't. This is a very controversial subject.
Right.
I believe in God, and I believe that there are angels. So if there are angels, there must be demons.
Good. So there was a family that moved in, well, several families that moved in after the Defoes, and one of them was the Lutz family. They made several claims about the house being haunted. However, the families after them, there was no complaints about that. Do you believe the Lutz family was in it for the money, or was the house actually possessed?
I believe that they were in it for the money, because who doesn't want more money? But we'll never know if they're actually really telling the truth or not.
Right. And how does this legend compare and contrast to other urban legends that you might have heard of, like Bloody Mary?
Well, I've heard of La Llorona and Bloody Mary, and those are both scary stories, so this urban legend is also scary.
Right. Thank you for coming for this interview.
What are some common characteristics? Urban myth or an urban legend, like why, what makes an urban legend or a myth? Basically, why does it become legend?
It's a good question. Well, there's obviously, like you said, something paranormal going on, right? Like if it was a normal thing, it wouldn't happen. It wouldn't become a legend. It wouldn't become an urban legend, right? So it's something where there's something unusual going on, and it resonates with people either positively or negatively, right? It could be something terrible that you would never want to happen, but it can resonate with people and lead to it being repeated. It's kind of like a horror story. People like horror stories.
Right. So why do you think specifically that this kind of became like these murders specifically became an urban legend? Do you think it was just the fact that families afterwards detailed paranormal activity, or do you think
that sounds like that adds to the mystique of it? But just the fact that a person would kill his siblings and his parents is bad enough already. Right. So I mean that's already bad enough, but plus the paranormal activity afterwards, I think when you bring those two things together, that makes it particularly appealing, unappealing, to be a horror story, right? It's bad enough just that a guy killed his family, right? And we tell stories of these kind of people who have killed their parents, like Lizzie Borden, killed her parents and that kind of thing. So you get these stories that get repeated as kind of like in Greek tragedy. You have a lot of terrible things that happen to people, and then people tell stories about them for hundreds of years. So.
Right. So do you think that there, and this is kind of the big controversial question I'm sure you guys are expecting at some point, was do you think there might be any backing to the paranormal activity or anything like that, or do you think it was just these families were in it for the money or wanted to capitalize?
I have no idea. I haven't been to the house. I haven't checked it out. Have you guys been to the house? No, haven't been over there. Yeah, no, okay. What state was this in again?
New York.
It's in New York. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, I haven't been up to New York recently. I haven't checked it out. I don't know. I have no idea whether there's any validity to the paranormal activity or not. I would be interested to check on the psychology of the families and like you said, like try to interview them, like kind of like you're interviewing me now. Interview the families and ask around and try to figure, get their stories and try to figure out what they saw or what they think they saw and try to understand a little bit about their psychology. So.
Right. So you mentioned earlier the Lizzie Borden.
Yeah.
What are some similarities between that case, or why did that come to mind for you?
She killed her parents, I believe, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she killed her parents. I don't think she had any siblings, just her parents with an axe. With an axe. So it's particularly gruesome.
Gotcha.
It's particularly gruesome, and it sticks in people's minds, and they repeat it as kind of a horror story. So.
Right. Okay.
I mean, that's been over. I think that was late 1800s. Something like that. It's a long time ago. And what? She was young. She was young, yeah. She wasn't that old. I mean, I don't think she was super young. She was like a teenager maybe or something. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. You wouldn't expect a teenage girl to kill her parents with an axe, right?
Right, gotcha.
It happened. And I don't think there was any stories of paranormal activity in the house after that.
Okay.
So it was bad enough even without the paranormal activity that we still talk about it.
Okay,
right?
Gotcha.
But again, you could imagine somebody if Ben, this is Ben right here.
Right.
If he moved into the house that Lizzie Borden killed her parents with an axe in, and he knew that this was a story, he might start, something in his brain might start conjuring up ideas of paranormal activity, whether there is or not, right?
Right.
It's a psychological thing where you're like, somebody got killed with an axe in this room.
Right.
That's creepy.
Okay, gotcha.
You might have nightmares at the very least, right?
Ronald Bush Defoe Jr., now 65, held the Greenhaven Correctional Facilities in Greenhaven, New York. He will forever live in infamy. But did he murder for murder's sake? Simply a murdering psychopath, or was he a product of his upbringing, as he so claims? A known abuser of both LSD and heroin, this came up multiple times at his trial, so we will never know exactly why he murdered his entire family. And now, it's up to you to decide how you feel about the Amityville horror. Was it forever? Was it simply just a brutal random murder that will forever live in infamy? Was Ronald Bush Defoe a murdering psychopath? Or, as the Left family claims, was there something more in the Amityville home? Was it truly haunted? Was there a demonic presence just waiting in that home to come back and strike again? Thank you for joining us today. This has been a Fearless 4 production.